Don't be a fool. We're going to talk about Proverbs 26 today. Welcome in, everyone, and glad to be with you here today on this Friday morning as I'm recording this. Good stuff. All right, so let's begin as we do each day with a little bit of prayer. Father God, thank you for another day. Thank you for the air we breathe. Thank you for the words that you have for us. Ask that you would be with us today, be with my throat, obviously, and be with all of our meditations as we look through your words of wisdom today. So, Father, may these words of mine be honoring and beneficial to those who hear them. So, Father, we pray this in your Son's name. Amen. All righty. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. I have some further details for you as we conclude today. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. But it will start today with a little bit of a Proverb 26. So we're reading from the English Standard Version. And so let's dive right in. Like snow in summer or rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a sparrow in its flitting, like a swallow in its flying. A curse that is causeless does not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the back of fools. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Hmm. I've always found that paradox hard to read. It seems like regardless of translation, you kind of have to put the right emphasis on the wrong syllable to get that right, I guess. So answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. In other words, turn it right back around to him and let them see how silly they're being, I guess you could say. It is a little snarky, a little sarcastic, but hey, this is Solomon saying this, not DJ Solomon saying this. Verse 6: Whoever sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like a lame man's legs, which hang useless, is like a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds the stone in the sling is one who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes up into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like an archer who wounds everyone is one who hires a passing fool or drunkard. Hires a fool or passerby. Interesting. And here's one that's repeated often. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. Do you see a man? Pardon me. Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There is hope. There is more hope for a fool than for him. The sluggard says, sorry, I did my little went back to my 80s on this one. The cow says, anyway, sorry, I couldn't help myself on there. Verse 13, the sluggard says, there's a lion in the road. There's a lion in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so a sluggard on his bed. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. It wears him out to bring it to his mouth. So we've changed from fool to sluggard now. Verse 16, the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. Whoever meddles in a quarrel is not his own. Sorry, try that again. Verse 17, whoever meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a passing dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, "Ah, I'm only joking." For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisperer, quarreling ceases. Where there's no whisperer, quarreling ceases. As charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a quarrelsome man for kindling strife. We talked about the quarrelsome woman before. Now we're talking about the quarrelsome man. There's fair. Verse 22, the words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down to the inner parts of the body. Like the glaze covering an earthen vessel are the fervent lips with an evil heart. Whoever hates, whoever hates disguises himself with his lips and harbors deceit in his heart. When he speaks graciously, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred be covered with deception, his wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. Highlight this. It's interesting it's called out 7 abominations. And sometimes when that happens, they're called out in the text, but in this case they're not. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of assumption that's present here. I have to discover later. Verse 27, whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on him who starts it rolling. A lying tongue hates its victims, and a flattering mouth works ruin. So, fools and sluggards and liars. I think that summarizes today. Fools, sluggards, and liars. I'll have to make that the title of today's episode. Um, indeed, indeed. We've all likely heard verse 11 here, like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. And there's other phrases in the Bible that are similar to this, that it is the dog returning to his vomit. In other words, like a dog will, if not directed otherwise, will vomit and then lap it right back up again. And we see that as absolutely astonishingly bad idea. It's like, this was obviously bad for you. Why are you going back? Why do you want it back into your body? Um, so that is the equivalent of a fool who just keeps going, and it just goes, and it just does not accept wisdom or reproof or anything like that. That is what that's like. Putting it right back into yourself is what that is. So it's not great. Um, let's examine a little bit about the sluggard too. Um, I'll just go for verse 13 here. There's a lion in the road. There's a lion in the streets. It's a weird saying, right? It's like, there's a lion in the road, a lion in the streets. That's the sluggard saying that. In other words, there's no lion. There's no lion. They're just fearful of it. And so a lot of times what we get caught up in is a notion of fear driving us. In other words, we are kind of obsessed with what might be. And so that causes us to become the sluggard, to not go fully forward and to not embrace what life actually has for us, and the challenges we actually have. We become the sluggard and we don't actually do anything. That's what that's saying. So that's the caution here. And then as we go on, we see the um, as a door turns on its hinges, so does a sluggard in his bed. Just back and forth, just never going anywhere. Um, but this is always a fascinating verse to me. Verse 15: the sluggard buries his hand in the dish; it wears him out to bring it back to his mouth. Can you imagine being so utterly and completely lazy that you can't even bring the dish back to your mouth? Your hands just go in it. That's the visual here of of someone who will not engage with life and just is waiting for things to happen to them or for them. Um, that sense of entitlement. And do we see this today? Yes. Yes, we do. It's something where, it's not just the kid who's still living in his parents' basement for far far too long. It's not just that, although that is the visual that I often get with a lot of this is when you have that kid who's being enabled and is never really growing up, is just stuck in his parents' basement, and there's always these excuses. Oh, it's expensive to live out there. I can't find a job. All this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's a lion in the streets. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same. And you know what? It's one of those things where it's like, am I sorry to be so blunt? No, no, I am not. And it's because it's like this is no way to live. And that is the what is going is the end result here is that if we are stuck in a pattern of being a sluggard, then we have no life to live. If we are stuck in a pattern of allowing sluggards to be enabled, we are robbing them of the life they could live. I hope that's clear and is not, you know, I hope it is going too far. I hope it is something that offends someone to their core today. Because if they're not offended, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to change anything. So I really hope this is something that is extremely offensive and you feel like you're being called out personally. I hope that's true of you if you are a sluggard. If you are in this pattern, you need to wake up, you need to get out, and you need to stop making excuses for your life. It's very clear here that the God does not want you making excuses. And this verse 16 here, that the sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than seven men who can answer sensibly. In other words, they just and you see this pattern all the time, right? There's always this pattern of they have it figured out. It's a conspiracy. They're just trying to keep me down, and if I go out and do this, then I'm just going to be taken down. And it's just, they have this all figured out in their own head, and they seem like they're wise when actually they're just lazy. Um, this actually kind of hurts a bit, but I'll go through it anyway. I had a friend growing up that got caught in these patterns and would not really go out and make something of himself. And it got worse and worse. And there was always some conspiracy. There was always something that was going on in his life, that or not that's right, not that was going on in his life. It was always like they're out to get me, or there's always some angle that they were looking for. He didn't believe in paying taxes, for example, and all this kind of stuff. And there's all these conspiracies, and there's all these, like, so much effort went into not going out and being something. So much effort went into not contributing to society, but only just being locked in this little bubble that he had built up in his life. That eventually he fell into drugs and he died. And I only found out about this, pretty recently, that someone who was one of my best friends growing up, um, had passed away because of this, and it was so it's painful for me to watch any of these kind of patterns in myself or in others. That's why I get so fired up about this. Is that you know it's important that you recognize that these are patterns we need to get out of our lives if we have them, and we need to not be enabling people that do have these patterns. We need to challenge them. We need to, um, even if it's a little snarky at times here. There's really good reasons for that. Literally to save their life, in my opinion, literally to make it to where you're that painful voice of reason in their lives. So yeah, I just went down a weird path, but but that's the truth of it. There are these things that just it pains me to know. Yeah, fools, sluggards, and liars. Let's not be any of those things. All right. On that somewhat painful note, let's go ahead and end out today. A couple of just admin things. Um, I mentioned yesterday, and after some further thinking about it and looking at it, I do want to go ahead and move forward with the time of fasting in August. So, what this is going to look like is a 14-day uh, fasting time frame. Now, this can look like whatever is just uncomfortable enough for you. I don't want you to go too far and not be successful. When I talk about fasting, it is really just setting up patterns. And so, you know, the kind of things that I've been able to do in my times of fasting is a lot to take in all at once. To go with only water for you know a length of time. I think 11 days, I think, is my max that I've done with water only and that sort of thing. I think I might have pushed it to 2 weeks once and not been ready for it. Um, but that's not something I want to encourage people to do in terms of that. It's like it's something to build up towards and to be ready for. And so, even with this, when we're doing only juice, is the fast I'm going to be recommending. Obviously, you can have your time with us and do whatever is going to work. But what I'm going to be guiding, showing my process through, is going to be something that I'm going to want people to be examining ahead of time and examining with, if they need to consult a doctor, if you're on any kind of medications. This is true of me. And so I am always looking at how I can achieve the right balance and not shock my systems too much. So what we'll be doing is kind of a process of getting down to a certain level. And so I'm going to walk you through that, kind of what to expect and do all that. And so I'm going to be actually kind of busy in the next few weeks, I think, preparing all this. And I want to kind of make this so that we have kind of two different levels, if you will. One will be more of just a general, here's how it's going to work, and have a topic we're going to talk about. I want to talk about cleansing our lives, which is something I actually need in my life right now. And so I'm going to talk about it from that perspective and kind of approach it just like I'm approaching this, of just having kind of a sense of accountability built in. That's what this is for. I mean, I can't not do this at this point. People will be like, DJ, where are you? So it is a great way to stay accountable. I'm actually very appreciative of this. So I want to do the same kind of thing with the fasting and have that kind of thing. But the other element of this is I want to make this so it's not just a one-way transaction. And so I have some mechanisms for that, so we can have a time of meeting up on Zoom, that sort of thing, and being able to be not only accountable to each other, but to have questions brought up, clarify ideas, all those kind of things, but also some time of study. And so that is something that I'm envisioning. And there's a couple mechanisms that I have that can accommodate, you know, 20 people. Some that'll accommodate like 100 people. Some that'll accommodate. I think I can go up to 1,000. I have no idea how many people would be interested in this. I don't have that visibility yet. So what I'm going to do is start a kind of an enrollment program that I have, and so I'm going to be utilizing a system that I have that is set up for courses, but I think it's going to work for this. I think it's going to work for these times of being together and things like that. We're going to try it out, and so look for that information probably as early as next week, so we can start getting that process prepared and be ready for the middle of the month as we're going to do this. I'm going to kind of nail down the dates, but I'm kind of looking at August 10th as potentially the beginning date of the process, and then At the end of the day on the 11th, I think is when we'd probably actually start the actual fast itself. But we'll see how this plays out. I'm also going to be doing this with in conjunction with my church, and so I'm trying to get the dates for that as well. So it'll be an interesting time, time of challenge, obviously, and a time to kind of not be a sluggard, although you'll feel like one. That's a part about fasting is that we're taking something out of our lives, and so if it's food, a lot of times that will actually affect our energy, and that's why I'm actually going to be approaching this with you very carefully and slowly, and make sure that you are brought into this in a safe way that you will be successful at. And so look forward to that. So in the meantime, do feel free to, if you are not with me on YouTube, here's a link for that. Let me put that up. But I'm encouraging people to subscribe there. Um, I, I don't mind doing this on Facebook, and I'm going to keep doing these broadcasts on Facebook as well. But I do encourage the YouTube. I'm going to be doing some additional things there that I can't do really reliably on Facebook, and so I do encourage you to get subscribed there if you haven't already. And that'll be easier way for me to get the word out. That's always the challenge. And the second thing is to share this. I think that I'm to that point of saying, okay, this is going to be a thing. So feel free to go ahead and share this out with your friends, with your network, I guess you could say, and I will honor that. And so I'm going to uh, continue on with this. This is not going to end here. This is going to be an every month thing from here going forward. And so it's a scary thing to say, and it's a lot to commit to, but I think this is working. And it's definitely working in my life to have that sense of accountability to do this live. And so I definitely appreciate that, and I appreciate you being in with me and to keeping me accountable. It's an appreciation that goes two ways, I think. So I've been very appreciative of those of you that have given encouragement and said they're getting something out of this. And so I hope that continues. That's a God thing, not a DJ thing. Trust me. Just as broken and vulnerable as we all are. And so, but I'll just encourage us all not to be a fool, not to be a sluggard, and not to be a liar today. Let's go out there and make the world a better place, shall we? Be blessed by the best, and just be a blessing to all the rest. Love you guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow.